What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the new year. It is a new year and it is time for some new ridiculous laws and regulations. One of them being the new AB-5 tax law. Now, this AB-5 tax law is the biggest disruptor to the industry, trucking and everything else. It was originally intended for Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, but it's affecting everybody. Anybody anywhere that's an independent contractor is under attack. But don't worry, this is not going to be the end of the world. There are some things we can do to deal with it, kind of get around it. We just have to do the hard work. It's not going to be easy, but if you want to do the hard work, you can keep your business. A judge has put a hold on it for the trucking industry for right now, but that's not going to last. The legislature is doubling down their efforts to make this happen. Other states have picked up the ball and ran with it, like New York and New Jersey. Some places here in Wisconsin have even terminated their independent contractor relationships in anticipation of this coming here. So let's talk about some solutions here. A lot of people are talking about the whole thing, but let's talk about some solutions so this does not have to be the end of the world for you and your business.
Welcome to the channel, yeah. Do it yourself, semi.
Hey yo, DIY semi. Come on, won't you let me help you simplify what your life needs? Hey yo, DIY semi. Come on, won't you let me help you make a profit in life? Yeah, we gon' break it down, break it down. Come on, make a profit, break it down, break it down. Simplify, don't stop it, break it down, break it down. Come on, make a profit, break it down, break it down. Simplify, don't stop it,
All right, firstly, I want to give some credit where credit is due. There's a gentleman named Vic. His channel name is Vic Med. You need to check this guy out. He's been at the forefront of getting the word out there on this AB-5 law and kind of fighting the battle, what he can do on his own here. So let's all support him and check out his channel. And he's full of good information, and he's a really great guy out there in Southern California. You can learn a lot from him. Now, about the AB-5. So AB-5 is a tax law started in California. Of course, everything starts in California, spreads to the rest of the country. And it basically will require employers to start treating independent contractors as employees. You'll have to do all kinds of withholdings on them, unemployment, work comp, everything. It's expected to kill between 70 to 80,000 owner-operator jobs in the state of California alone. So, because of unintended consequences, it'll probably be likely over 100,000 just in the state of California. Now, it's really going to affect anybody that's self-employed. So we need to deal with this. It's going to be a small business killer. Now, there's going to be hard work involved in this. It's not going to be easy to get around this, but it's worth it. You have to decide if you want to keep your business or not. Basically, if you do, we got some good information here for you. I ask that you not cherry pick things from this information, kind of take everything as a whole. That's kind of how I'm intending it here. Don't miss some things and end up with doing a half-assed job on things. So we're going to talk about it first from the perspective of trucking, then kind of everything else we'll get into also. So if you are an owner-operator, leased, you're one truck guy, whatever, how many trucks, whatever, leased onto a carrier, you are an owner-operator. If you're running under their permits and authority, the first thing you would want to do, if you want to keep on doing that, is if you're leased to any carrier of any size, they likely have a brokerage authority also. So you want to sit down with them and say, hey, listen, if I go out and get my own authority, can I contract back onto you as a power only, which means you pull their trailer, okay? You're just supplying the truck, pulling their trailer. You'd be your own carrier now. You're no longer an owner-operator. And this is complicated and involved, so don't do this unless you can make an equipment, or unless you can make a commitment to really participating and start being a business owner and running a business. You're no longer just a driver. This is far more involved than that. Okay, so like I said, your carrier would need a brokerage authority. Now this is also good for them because it's a great expense to them to pay unemployment and work comp and all these things on you and do all the withholding. It's going to save them a lot of money. So you also want to, if you're going to do this, ask for a little bit more money to cover some of the extra expenses. It's not cheap to have your own authority, and they're going to save a little bit. So ask that they shift that small amount over to you. Maybe if you were running for 75%, maybe now you want to ask for 80%. But you definitely want to get a little bit more money out of it. Now, the biggest key to why this is going to work, it's going to further separate you from the carrier, which is kind of what you're looking for here. There's an ABC standard, and I read the law. Okay, it'll make your head explode. It's full of doublespeak and nonsense. It lists a whole group of people that are exempt. Obviously, they have enough money to buy politicians, whatever, or get things in their favor. We are not exempt in the trucking industry. Most people are not. 3 things, subsection A, B, and C, that lays out how you decide if somebody is an employee or an independent contractor. Okay, being your own carrier will change that in your favor. You're no longer exclusively under your carrier's control. A key to why having your own authority and doing power only, you can go do work for other people, and you should. From time to time, every so often, say, listen, I got to take a few loads off. There's all kinds of power only work out there. You go over and do power only for somebody else. If it's a situation where you can have your own trailer, have your own trailer. And just go, from time to time, you need to do work for other people, so that nobody can claim that you're exclusively working for that company and you do not farm your services out, to the public, looking for work, or that the public in general could hire you. So that's a big part of this, is exercising that independence from time to time. If you're only doing it for the sake of, you want to stay with that other carrier, but you don't want to violate the rules, then do it that. But maybe it's your intention to build your business and so forth that way. But very important. Now, if you do choose to get your own authority, this is not something to be taken lightly. Sit down with a professional, especially a CPA. Refer back to my video of business entities. We're going to get into that in a minute. It's very important. Again, this is where it's going to rear its head again. Put in the time, the hard work, set things up the right way with professional people, because you are no longer just a truck driver. You have to be willing to do the hard work. Okay. Now, this is the rest of this will relate to everybody, trucking and Uber drivers, exotic dancers. If you're construction, whatever, everybody else included. Now, is, in my experience, and having read this law, when you're dealing with laws like this, when you're dealing with the government, IRS especially, okay, you have to understand that words matter. What do I mean by that? Well, the way they write things, the words that they use are for a purpose, okay? In reading this law over and over again, they clearly differentiate between individuals and persons, and then entities, okay? So in the ABC test, it keeps saying person, person, person. Don't be a person. You conduct your business in your business name. If you go and lease onto a company, not really knowing what you're doing, just, I'm going to get myself a truck, I'm going to go, trailer trucking as an owner-operator, you're not ready to do it. There's some work to be done first, okay? You don't sign the contract in your name. If your name is Bob Smith, you don't form an agreement between Bob Smith and JB Hunt. It is Bob Smith Transportation and JB Hunt, okay? You always do business in your business name. There's a reason for this. It's when things like this come up, okay? It can help shield you from these things. Now, you should be getting paid. Your paycheck should come in your business name. Everything you do, obviously when in the bottom you sign your name, but everywhere else it's say Bob Smith Transportation or whatever. Now, referring back to my video on business entities and the video before that of business in general, you need to understand the whys behind this, okay? Like I said, if you are a single truck person, or however many trucks, and you have your own authority, if you have your own authority, you have to stop calling yourself an owner operator. And the reason is because other people don't know the difference. And when they don't know, you call yourself an owner operator, oh, he must be an owner operator. They will assign things to you, such as the AB-5 law, when they do not apply to you. You know, if you're doing power only for a carrier, as a carrier yourself, you are not an owner operator for them. You are an outside carrier. It would be no different. You are no different than Schneider at that point. You are a motor carrier. You are not an owner operator. This is I stress this is so crucial that we start getting these things right, because then these things like AB-5 do not apply to you. Okay, so if you set up your own authority and you set it up as an S corporation, okay, you do business as an S corporation, you sign your contracts as an S corp, nobody's going to withhold on you. They can't. No case could be made that they could, okay, because they're not even really forced to send you a 1099. So as a carrier, if I hire lumpers throughout the year, everyone that is not a corporation, I have to send a 1099 to. So Capstone Logistics, not a corporation, I have to send them a 1099 at the end of the year. Okay. Another lumber service that is an S corp, I don't have to send them 1099s. They're responsible for their own accounting and so forth. So we need to start understanding these things and how the proper ways to do business are. So if you're just a person that's subcontracted to deliver newspapers, but you're not technically an employee of the newspaper company, don't do it in your own name. Set up as Tim's cartage service or whatever. Okay, it applies to everybody. If you're an exotic dancer, do it in your own name. Set up Tiffany's entertainment service. Okay, just think about that in your mind and apply it to yourself. This is very, very important to all of this. Okay, don't assume that politicians are smart enough to know. They're smart enough to know that words matter, but they don't believe that we know the difference. We're smarter than them. Okay, we have to survive in the real world. They don't. So anyway, back to what we were talking about here in regards to your business entity. Even if you're one truck and you set up as Bob's Trucking S Corp, whatever, you're only one truck contracted to that carrier. Even as an owner operator, if you don't go get your own authority, it's a big step to take to incorporate, but sometimes this is one of the justifications for doing it. If you're one truck, you're going to lease to a carrier, incorporate, whatever. Now, one of the standards for determining whether or not you're an employee is, are you exclusively working for that business? If you set up a business entity, you're leased on to JB Hunt, they have no idea what you're doing outside of what you do for them. For all they know, you could have 10 trucks leased to 10 different carriers. You could have dump trucks running on your own. Okay, make it hard for them to make that determination. Don't make it easy. All right, and if they come to you with it, say, you have no idea what I'm doing outside of what I do for you. Don't apply this standard to me, because it doesn't apply. I have other things going on. In addition to, driving truck, I also have something on the side where I work on trucks, or I have somebody that works for me that works on trucks. I have other people. This isn't just a one-shot deal here. So, legitimizing your businesses makes it hard for them to make that determination. If they push the issue and it goes farther and other people get involved, you may lose. I'm not saying you're going to win every time on this one, but don't make it easy for them. You will win with your own authority. It's something I've done, and I do a little bit of power only. I found some nice people to do that for, but I also have my own trailer and I run my own loads. So they could never make the classification as an employee for me, never. I also have my own authority. So I guess the bottom line is, work for your company, not theirs. You work for your company, and then contract your company to somebody else. Okay, we really got to start using this up here. We have to start doing things this way. If you're coming out of driving school and say, oh man, I can go lease a truck through Swift. Oh, this is another thing. Okay, I'm not going to make a judgment if you're leasing onto somebody, if it's good or bad. That's your business. It's for you to decide. But don't have everything that exists in your business coming from them. That's a mistake. Okay, it's not even probably a wise decision. Okay, because they're going to make money off of that. If you think they're acting in your best interest in helping you, they are not. They will always 100% of the time act in their best interest. That's their job. Okay, and if they're a publicly traded company, it is their legal it is their legal obligation. Okay, so get your truck from someone else. Don't be what they used to call that back in the day, a sharecropper, where you plant your crops on somebody else's land and then just before harvest they come and kick you off the land and keep your crops. It's exactly what a lot of people are doing in trucking. One of the pet peeves of mine is, I don't know, some company out of Missouri. Most of their owner-operators are, you can be offended by it all you want, but look at the facts. You're sharecropping, okay? Enormous payments on a truck that once you get it paid off, they intimidate you and practically force you into getting another truck. So get your truck somewhere else, okay? Don't get it from your carrier. Maintain separations all over the place. It's better for you, okay? If you want to take help with discounts on tires and fuel, it's no problem with that, but maintain some kind of separations, okay? So yeah, over and over in this law, they differentiate between persons and individuals and entities. In fact, one of the sections, I'm not going to show it here because it's really pointless. You can read it for yourself. It says, this rule does not apply, and this kind of a quote here, I may not be getting exactly right, does not apply to bona fide business-to-business contracting relationships. So be a business-to-business contracting relationship. Don't be a business-to-individual. You will lose that argument every single time. You will lose. So that's the gist of this here. We could go deeper into it, but I want you to, I don't want to hold your hand, because you need to start doing this homework for yourself, learning these things, developing a business, having a business plan. If you're going to go into this, have a plan, okay? You got to have a plan. So I hope that kind of helps people out a little bit. This is not the end of the world. It's just going to take some hard work to get around. So take care. We'll see you again.